If you'd like to view any of these cards for yourselves that will be portrayed in today's video, all you have to do is click on the Discord link, which is in the description down below, and it will take you to the channel. By the time you be in the channel, all sections, including the one that you see before you, will be unlocked and available for viewing. Alright, so last but not least, for the final entry of the first wave of starter set pre-alpha cards, we got the Ventus deck. The Ventus deck consists of birds and wind-based creatures, mostly birds. When I was trying to make this deck, what I was doing was I thought I was doing like a movement control, but it's more of removal of items. So, I can always change that with later cards, but I like what I got here. As I stated with all the other cards, cards are subject to change once they are put into the playtesting area, and we figure out what the best option for these cards are. So we're going to go with the first entry of the creatures, and that is Kitehawk. Kitehawk is a Ventus 2 Beast Avian. Ventus 2 pretty much means that it takes up 2 spaces on the field to be summoned. It has a strike of 10, a guard of 15, and a range of 2. It has no stance abilities whatsoever, and it has one main ability where a striking rival loses 2 range to this card, meaning that it's harder to hit this card, and it can target a size 2. Whoa! It can target a size 2 or lower rival on the field and fell that target. So it is a small target removal, which is pretty good for opponents that swarm the board with smaller creatures. The second entry is Corvid Talon Harvey. Corvid Talon Harvey is a Ventus 2 humanoid avian with a strike of 20, a guard of 15, and a range of 2. It has 2 stance abilities, which is B and G. In the B stance, its strike cannot be blocked or negated by gear, while in the G stance, you can tap this card to search 1 avian gear from your gear deck. It has no main ability because I wasn't sure how strong this all would be. I mean, basically, it just cannot be blocked or negated by extra cards except for the creature's ability itself or an event card. And because it is a size 2, you could have 2 of these on the field and have a double, what do you call it? A double guaranteed attack, and then also, a double draw of gear, or a mix of the two. So I thought that'd be pretty much to give it another ability. Plus it has a 20 strike, which put that together. That's 40. Why am I thinking so slow about that? That's 40 strike. So you know it's a pretty decent card, I think, for being a basic smaller creature. The next entry is Emerald Snatch Harvey. Emerald Snatch Harpy is a Ventus 3 humanoid avian with a strike of 30, guard 25, and a range of 2. It has 2 stance abilities, which is A and B. In the A stance, you can tap this card, target a rival, disgear that rival, and do a 15 strike damage. In the B stance, you can strike cannot be blocked or negated by the gear. So again, you know, going back to the Harpy thing, they like to snatch gear, take them, steal them. It's based on the legends that Harpy like to steal and pillage and all that things. Um, I'll explain more about that because I really do want to do videos on where I get the ideas for these things. It has one main ability where during strike, or when it does strike, it does. Ugh, you can disgear 1 rival in range. I might change that to disgear targets because disgear 1 rival in range would pretty much mean that you can attack a target, then disgear another target, which I don't know if that's too much. But yeah, my brain's all over the place because I'm trying to. The video for this kind of like messed up, so I'm trying to knock it out in the morning, and I didn't eat anything, so I'm just feeling a little loopy right now. Zephyr Gazelle. Zephyr Gazelle. Well, first let's talk about the name Zephyr Gazelle. Zephyr meaning wind, Gazelle without the A, so Zephyr Gazelle. It is a Ventus 3 Beast Bovid with a strike of 30, a guard 25, and a range of 2. It has 2 stance abilities, which is A and G. During the A stance, you can tap this card, target a rival, do 15 strike damage, and disgear the target. So again, item removal. And in a G stance, you can tap 2, meaning that you can tap this card for 2 turns, and on that second turn, retreat the card, roster rivals in range. This is I think this is one of the bigger removal cards but because it has such a high point cost, it needs 3 spaces to be summoned. I figured it'd be okay to use, and plus it takes so much time to be set up. Tap 2, meaning 2 turns, and then the fact that it only has 25 guard, and you have a lot of creatures that can power themselves up before that happens. I thought it was a pretty okay thing to have just to see how it works out. I first thought it was might have been a little broken because the whole point of the game is to remove creatures in order to attack your opponent directly. But again, with all the other cards doing what they do, this might not be as bad. So I will see how that works out. Its main ability is ally Ventus card gain 5 each turn. So it means that your Ventus creatures gain 5 guard each turn. So I guess that balances out the whole not having a lot of, well, not having as much defense as it needs in order to get this going. So there's that. And the fifth and final entry for the creatures is Twistarian the Gale. Twistarian the Gale is a humanoid. I did not put its thing. Twistarian the Gale is a Ventus 4 humanoid elemental. I don't think there are many elementals in the game yet, but they are somewhat important for later things I want to do. How many elementals are there? There's one in fire. I don't think there's one in water. I think it's just fire and wind that have elementals, and fire doesn't even have that strong of an elemental, so humanoid, not humanoid, humanoid elemental. It has a strike of 55, a guard of 60, and a range of 3. You know, being the boss monster or the ace monster, the deck master, whatever you want to call it, it's going to have all the high stats and all that, the large size and everything. Um, it only has one stance ability, which is during the A stance, or when you summon it to the A stance, you can disgear rivals in range, and it has a range of 3. It says 2 here, but it does have a range of 3, meaning that if there are rivals within 3 spaces of the creature, you can just gear those rivals. That's pretty much it. So, gear removal is basically the motive of this deck, which, again, I didn't realize that's what I did, but it is. It has a 3 main abilities, which really, where ally Ventus size loss 1, so all ally Ventus on the field lose 1 size, meaning that you can summon more creatures, but you will have um, your opponent will have an easier time removing those creatures with removal abilities, because removal abilities are saved up for smaller creatures. So you might want to be really high on the defense when you activate this ability. And actually, because there is no like triggering effect or anything, it just activates. So you might want to really be on the defense for that. Minus 10 rival damage. So this card alone takes minus 10 rival damage. It doesn't say ally Ventus, so no other creatures take part in this ability. I might change that, but it might be a little bit much. So we will see when I do the playtesting. And then set phase. This is one of the only creatures that has like a phase ability. So during the set phase, you can tap this card, activate one Ventus field event. I might put this to where it's you what was it? Retreat the creature, put it back into the roster to activate one Ventus field event. You can activate field events anyway during the set phase, but you have to draw it from the top of the deck. So activating one just means that you can search the deck for whatever you want and then activate it just on the spot, rather than going with a gamble of what comes next. Ooh, I feel winded for some reason. I did something really bad yesterday and it's starting to affect me. Gale Berry. Alright, so for some reason I keep tripping up on this part. So now we are going into the gear aspect of the deck. And for the first entry of the gear aspect of the deck, yes, got it. We have Gale Barrier, another entry for the barrier cards. This might be one of those cards, like, in every card game there's like those cards that just have like that somewhat iconic thing they put to them, so where it's like, everyone will recognize these cards because there's so many of them. This might be it. Barriers might be like my iconic card thing. Um, Gale Barrier is a Ventus trigger. It has the same ability as all other cards, negate rival ability and rival damage towards the Tamen that activates this trigger. And It affects rivals, so rival size 0 to 2, you could roster that rival, send it back to the roster, and then rival size 3 to 5, it does a recoil of 10. So that's good. A recoil basically means that you take no damage, and the opponent takes damage, and it's 10 damage. So you have two you have two counter abilities, which is the counter ability, which is where you give your opponent damage when you are damaged, and now you have the recoil ability where you give your opponent damage without taking any damage. Um, I'll make a video explaining all this stuff so that it's not as confusing. But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot to this game that I put in that I'm just not realizing I should really like dive deep into before like I make the game playable, at least publicly playable. I am taking playtesters who want to try this deck out, to try these cards out for themselves. Uh, you're loading. All right, there we go. So yes, rivals. Oh my goodness. So rival size 3 to 5. Yes, it does recoil 10, and it also you tap the rival until the next end phase. So you do damage to that rival, and that rival is down for the entire turn until the next end phase. Cyclone Shield is the second entry of the gear pile. Cyclone Shield is a Ventus equip with a guard gain of 10, a strike gain of, and a strike gain of 10. It has a guard gain of 15 and minus 5 guard gain 15 minus 5 rival damage. Guard gain 10, strike gain 10. Oh, this must have been another card. My bad. I don't know, for some reason it never I forget to save certain parts and it just puts the stuff back in. Alright, Cyclone Shield is a Ventus equip with a guard gain 15 and a minus 5 rival damage. So it gives less damage from rivals while also boosting up your guard. So I think that's pretty good. Making their damage any less might be a little bit much since you get like a raise in your guard. And it is a generic gear, as you can see, so anyone can use it pretty much. I might change that, maybe, I don't know. It seems a little too good to just have in any deck whatsoever. Why won't you? There we go. It has one ability where. Why did I say it like that? Like, okay. So it has the ability where you can discard the guard, negate one targeting rival, and the target rival loses to range until the end phase. So basically, you are blinding this rival with the very shield you have, and you're preventing it from doing any attacks or doing any attacks or any abilities. So basically, you're just negating it altogether because you can negate attack or you can negate ability. Most cards don't allow you to do both, but this one does. And again, I don't know if I want that for every deck because that seems a little bit too much. But at the same time, I want to see just how crazy this game can get during the testing stage, so I will see how that works. We are at 1250 right now. Cool. I'm doing good. Sharp Talon. Sharp Talon is a Ventus equip that is an avian type gear, meaning that it only works for avian creatures. It gives a strike gain of, it gives 10 strike, and for the ally size, I should put ally size, but for the equipped monster that is size 0 to 2, it can strike 2 times. So you put this to like Corvid Talon Harpy, and you put these to 2 Corvid Talon Harpies. That's 40 attack each, meaning that's a total of 80, which that's really good. And for size 3 to 5, target size 2 or lower rival and fell the target. So it becomes an easier, so any card, any larger avian you have, it can automatically do easy removal. And right now the only target that is that large is Emerald Snatch Harpy. But again, thinking about that, if you were to try to use this card to use the Emerald Harpy with the Twisterian, I don't think it's possible. I'm not good with math in my head like off the bat, but if you were able to put those two on the field, I don't think it would work too well because then Snatch Harpy would be a size 2 and not a size 3. So this is something you want to use with like just Snatch Harpy or Emerald Snatch Harpy on the field without trying to get the big guy up there. Uh, is that it? Yeah, I babbled on too long. That was it. Third entry? Third entry? Nope, fourth entry. Fourth entry for the gear is Blowback. Blowback is a Ventus trigger, which activates when a rival targets an ally Ventus. Why did I say that? Blowback is a Ventus trigger. Blowback is a Ventus trigger type gear that has the ability, when a rival targets an ally Ventus that activates this trigger, while there are more rivals than allies, tap all allies until the next set phase, roster all allies. So basically what this does is that when it targets a Ventus creature that is on top of this card, and your opponent has more creatures than you do, you can tap all tap all the rivals or tap all the allies that you have, and then roster all the rivals that they have. So you skip your turn basically to push all of your opponent's monsters back, making it easy to reset everything that they have done. And also, if your opponent already has monsters in the roster, whatever monsters that can't be fit into the roster are sent to the discard pile. So this is a really powerful card, which is why I put it to when a rival targets an ally Ventus. Because if when a rival targets an ally, that means any card could use it, and that would be way too dangerous. Although I guess I could also put, tap ally Ventus, but I think what I'm explaining is actually backwards, so it works that way too. You could still put this in a deck with any other deck, and you could still put this within any other deck, and you could use it with other creatures. In terms of tapping, it doesn't have to be just ally Ventus creatures you tap, but you do have to have that one Ventus creature on this card in order to activate it. Tap all other allies, no matter if they're like Inferno or Infernus, Aqua, or Verdant or Terra, or whatever, and then do what it says to do. I went way too long with that. That's going to be very confusing. I'm so sorry. uh, Wing Fan. Wing Fan is the fifth. Yeah, Wing Fan is the fifth and final gear for the deck. Wing Fan is a Ventus equip for the Avians. It has a strike gain of 10 and a guard gain of 15. I think this is where I was typing the last card, the other card. It has one ability where you can size 0 to 2. What is going on? Hold on. What is going on with this card? Tap size 0 to 2, tap target. Oh, okay. Tap target rival of equal or lesser size. Okay, I see what I did. So I wanted to edit this out to where instead of size 0 to 2, it says any size. So what you do is you can equip this to any avian creature, and you can tap a target rival of equal or lesser size, meaning that you can pretty much, if you are going before your opponent, this is a good way to tap that creature. Or if your opponent has a creature that benefits from doing something at the end of the turn rather than attacking, then you can also tap that as well. Or if your opponent manages to summon a creature out again before the turn is over, you can tap that target as well. Again, I'm going to explain all this in other videos. Uh, it's been early. I'm just trying to get through this. Uh-oh. That's not supposed to be Firewall. That's supposed to be Windfall. I could have sworn I checked all this morning. Alright, so Windfall is a Ventus field event, and its ability is when an equipped rival receives Ventus damage, disgear that rival. So this pretty much throws in heavy that this is a very gear removal heavy deck. The disruption is the guard loss. You get a guard loss 10 for striking ally until the next set phase. So you can try to deal damage in order to remove more defense from your opponent, but if you fail to do so, you lose defense yourself, and that plays into the strike phase of the card. Ally Ventus strike gain 10 this phase, so that balances itself out. Skydive Assault. Skydive Assault is a Ventus strike event, which allows you to get a range gain of 1 and a guard loss of 10 for all ally avians. So originally when I made this deck, I wanted it to be a very bird themed deck, but for some reason I couldn't figure out, or I wanted to make other things other than just avians, so it wasn't just a mono type deck, mono species deck, or whatever you want to call it, so it wouldn't be so easily targetable. So I put in the other two as like just last minute things. Range loss 1 rival striking or targeting ally avian. So this pretty much plays up on to the Kite Hawk ability where where your opponent will lose one more additional range, meaning 3, meaning that most opponents will be practically blind. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to get around that. Um, is that image supposed to be Kite Hawk? I mean, he has feet, so no. I gotta think about what to do with this guy later, but enough of that. During the strike phase, ally avians deal double strike damage to rivals. So really hitting home with the double damage. That will thinking about the best play for this. You would have 2 Corvid Talon Harpies on the field. Give both of them sharp talons. That gives them up to 40. Uh, Dealing double damage with this puts them at 80. So 80 each makes 160. That is a lot of damage. Yeah, this deck is going to be crazy. I can't wait to try this one out. Raging Wind. Raging Wind is a Ventus strike event. Strike event? Hmm. Yeah, sure, strike event. It's the second to last card, so yeah, sure. Strike event. Where rivals affected by Ventus damage cannot use their stance abilities until the next draw phase. Ventus abilities cannot be negated. Again, this deck is getting crazier and crazier. Disruption. Strike lost 20 ally Ventus until the draw phase. That doesn't seem to be a very big penalty for something with such an ability. I'm gonna have to change that. During the set phase, draw 2 Ventus trigger. During the set phase, draw 2 Ventus triggers. Shuffle non-Ventus triggers drawn by this ability into the gear deck. Seems fair. And during the strike phase, strike gain 15 ally Ventus. It seems kind of basic for a card like this. Um, I'll have to see if I want to change it up. I do want to change that disruption. That disruption doesn't do a lot, but I do want to see how if that's should be better. If not, I'll keep it as it is. And then for the final entry of the Ventus deck, we have Skyward Spiral. Skyward Spiral is a Ventus strike event with a target. Skyward Spiral is a Ventus strike event. Its ability is that you can target and tap 1 ally Ventus until the strike phase, so that's pretty much the card you're going to be using to activate this card. The disruption is if you fail to use any of this card's abilities, you release that target and this card. Where am I going now? Alright, during the set phase, when the target, meaning the card that is using this card, deals damage to a rival, ally size, yeah, ally size, meaning the target. So ally size 0 to 2, you can roster that rival. Ally size 3 to 5, you can fell that rival. So it is easy removal, whether it is a soft removal, meaning to the roster, or a hard removal, meaning discarded, completely discarded. And during the end phase, you can discard this card since it is a strike thing, meaning that it will not stay on the field. Well, I shouldn't say that because some strike cards may be able to stay on the field, but this one does not because it is a little too good. During the end phase, discard this card, draw 2 Ventus gear, shuffle non-Ventus gear drawn by this card into the ability deck. Do over. During the end phase, discard this card, draw 2 Ventus gear, shuffle non-Ventus gear drawn by this ability into the gear deck. So yeah, there's a couple event cards that allow you to just draw extra gear, which is I guess is good because a lot of the power of this deck lies in the gear. But it is draw 2 Ventus gears, so it is not search 2 Ventus gears, so you can't just search the gear. That would be a little too much because again, the gear for this deck is crazy. So you have to draw cards from your deck until you get 2 gear and then discard, not discard, but put the other cards you drew back into the deck and then shuffle the deck. So that's how it goes. So there's a difference between fetch and draw. And I think that's it for this one. I am so sorry I butchered this one up so much. Um, but this is the last entry. I have to go in and fix a few things. This will be available in the Discord if you want to see it for yourself. And with this being the last video, now I am going to move on to rulings for the next week. And after that week, I am going to start trying to do playtesting. But before I do that, I have to do some stress testing to see if the current laptop I am using can handle um, playing the game where I want to play it. I am supposedly maybe getting another laptop that can handle doing stuff like this, but I don't know 100%, so I don't want to say that I will be able to do it absolutely, but I do want to try and do this on the site that I said it was, which is Tabletopia. It allows me to play the game exactly how I want to play it, so while Untapped.in is a good place to try it, I do have to compromise formatting the game. So I would really like to try and keep the format as much as possible, but if not, then that's where I'll be taking the card game. So with that said, that's it for now. I'm going to stop stumbling over myself by stopping the video, and I will see you in the next one, or hopefully in the Discord, where all the cards will be available. So yeah, see you in the next one.